You're listening to Empire of Rust, the first and greatest Transformers RPG podcast. Join the heroes of Cybertron as the last vestiges of Starscream's war take them to the far-flung colonies to defend the planet from distant threats and protect the Cybertronian Republic from the shadow of the Harmonium.
Welcome back to Empire of Rust, the first and greatest Transformers RPG podcast. We, and by we I mean like half this cast, have just seen the Transformers 1 movie the other day. And 2/5 of the cast ignored it. You know who you are.
They will too, because we're about to talk about
it. So what did you guys think? I know we talked about it a little bit like at the movie theater. But yeah, we saw it on opening week, on opening night. I thought it was great. What about you? Why don't we start off with you, Pat? I know you have a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions on various things.
I mean, I suppose that's true, but I think I said it at the movie, like, I thought it was wonderful. I mean, there are some nitpicky things that I could do, but it was so good that I didn't even want to, so It was like, I thought the writing was good. I thought the animation was good.
That's high praise from you.
Yeah, like the story was, I mean, obviously a lot happened and it was very fast, but considering how much time they had, like, I thought they did a great job of, of building it up. And
there might be some light spoilers. So if you
I was going to say, how do I?
Yeah, and if you don't want to hear anything about it, and by the time you hear this, it's spread out for like a month or two. But just fast forward to the next chapter break, and we'll get into the actual episode. But yeah,
how quickly Megatron kind of turned. It happened a little fast, but for based on the show, it's like, oh, you're like, okay, we knew this was coming. But,
yeah.
But then at the same time, like when I was like afterwards, I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like if I had believed as strongly as he did about what he did, and like that happened, like, I mean, I get it. I get it. So it was funny, but not over not ridiculously so.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, which is, again, like, I think everything that I complained about in the last one, like, didn't happen in this one. So it was just like...
They must have been listening for you.
I know, right? I mean, the fact that there were no humans in it, like, I can't tell you how much better it made it. Like, it was about Transformers. It wasn't about, a hot chick being in constant distress.
And that's been like the big, at least my opinion, I mean, the big failure for a lot of the live action movies is they're not Transformers stories. They're stories about the humans who are there and interacting with it. And while that is mass market appeal, and that's it's identifiable for people, for humans, I'm not going to go to a Transformers movie and want to know about what the humans are doing. I'm just not.
Yeah, I don't go to a Transformers movie to see people.
No, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with Pat, honestly. I mean, I thought the animation was a particularly good thing because of the style. It's like, it's hard to describe, but it's like, it's instead of a purely mechanical 3D animation, it's like a cartoon come to life sort of thing. And that gives them the ability to sort of be more expressive, and that sort of thing. All the characters were so different from each other looking, even the masses, all sorts of random, and the variety was really interesting. I mean, some of the action was a little fast for me, but I think that's just me because my eyes aren't great at following what's going on. So it's not a complaint. It was really neat, and I like the characters. It was pretty fun. I mean, the arcs, like Pat said, the arcs had to be sort of quick because it was a whole movie. But there's also a lot that can be done in the future with it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not unexpectedly, there's definitely perfect lineup for sequels from this. But I think if this franchise could have for sequels, it's definitely a good thing. I would definitely watch them all.
Yeah,
because I think it's the most enjoyable Transformers thing that since anything animated I've seen.
Yeah, I'll echo you with the animation. Like the animation, art style, art direction, all of it was pretty solid. Like I found no real complaints about it, and I'm usually pretty nitpicky when it comes to like the art side of things, especially when it comes to animation. But yeah, it was just spot on the entire way. Adam, Mike,
Yes.
I don't know. You had something else going. You had some dinner to make or something, right?
Something what to make?
You had a dinner date or something. I don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah. That was game night. Different game night. Different crowd.
He's cheating on us.
Yep.
You knew what this was.
All right. So obviously, like you can't, you don't know what's going on with it. But how about something that you would like to see in the movie that we might be able to either confirm or deny for you?
Oh, so now you're going to spoil it for us?
Like something that we're like, oh, that was lacking and I wish it was, or something that was in it that I was like, oh, hey, we're going to tease you by mentioning something in a movie that you probably want to see but haven't seen.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
You know what I want to see in it? I want to see humans. Are there any humans in it?
No. None.
Oh, no, that is a shocker.
Yeah.
Say it isn't so.
There's plants. I don't know if that helps. It's about as close as it gets.
Plants, okay.
Well, let me ask the question. Like, do you guys, do you intend on going to see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I actually have some free passes. I'm not going to say how I attain these free passes, but I intend to take Andrea to see it soon.
Cool.
Oh.
Excellent.
I'll see it when I can stream it.
Yeah, that might be a while.
That's fine.
Mike doesn't go to movies anymore.
I really don't.
Does he not?
Nope.
I'll definitely be watching it again once it comes out streaming, though.
Yeah, I have no intention of seeing it in the theater again, but like I would enjoy seeing it again.
Yeah.
Though,
Okay.
admittedly, like there was a time like in my life where like I would watch a movie 15 times and I just don't anymore. Like I watched it in the theater. I'll probably share it with somebody that hadn't seen it and I can like vicariously, re-experience it for the first time through them.
Right.
And that would probably be it. Like in like maybe two more times. So that could just be a time thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I think just as you get older, there's a lot more stuff to do and a lot more things you, one, need to be doing and two, want to be doing. So,
right.
Yeah, I remember the reason we rewatched stuff when I was young is because that's the videotapes we had.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I have the entire afternoon off. I'm going to watch Star Trek 2 through 5,
For some of the younger listeners, VCR tapes are what we used to watch before DVDs. And for some of you really young ones, DVDs are what we used to watch movies, how we used to watch movies before they were streaming.
Do you know how many times I watched a videotape recording of Pee-wee's Christmas special?
Oh, nice.
Like with the commercials, so you're like, Pontiac, we build excitement. Pontiac,
Who's got a memory?
Yeah. That's like that to me. That's one of the best parts about finding old cassette tapes is like that they actually have commercials, and like the commercials are like pure and like just good, and like compared to like the mind worm trash that exists nowadays.
I think I disagree with you with commercials being good, but yeah,
I don't know, man. Like check out some old commercials. Like they're fever dreams, to be sure, but they're not corrupt.
It depends on how far back you go, because then if you go back too far, then you have like babies advertising cigarettes and
yeah.
Dr. Johnson's cocaine drops.
I remember listening to like an old recording of the Abbott and Costello show when they used to have like the commercials right in the show.
Yeah.
And there are some pretty wholesome sounding commercials for Camel cigarettes. And I'm not a smoker, but I thought about trying one. Like, wow, that really sounds wholesome and good. Doctors are recommending it. How about that?
It's
It was
wild.
a different time.
It would just stop the plot, and it would just the actors would literally stop what they were doing and do a commercial in the middle of it. It was wild.
It's like a fourth wall break almost.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, we don't have any commercials in our story, and we're going to get right back to it.
This episode brought to you by,
By Geritol. How about that?
When last we left, the four of you had just landed on the landing pad outside one of the military bases in the Harmonium. Do we remember what happened?
I think I did pretty well for the landing, all in all.
You only dropped everyone onto the ground as you transformed.
Hey, I opened the door and told them to get out. They did their own dropping. They did their own dropping.
I don't recall falling, so I thought I did fine.
So yeah, Sweet Spot. This bot just walked up to you, hands extended. My name is General Libra. Welcome to the Harmonium. Whom do I have the honor of addressing?
Told you, a general or a priest.
Well, I guess...
I'm also an ordained minister.
Of course. I said you'd say that too.
So you're saying you're a general priest? Which means, what, you're a priest most of the time?
No specialization. He's agnostic.
I'm a priestly general, thank you very much. Whom do I have the honor of addressing?
Well, that would be me. My name is Ambassador Sweet Spot from Velocitron.
From Velocitron. I thought it was said you were from Cybertron.
We are a delegation from Cybertron, but I myself am from Velocitron.
There are multiple planets in your system. Interesting.
Oops.
different systems.
Oops.
Different
How
systems.
is that oops?
Well, I know that the planets are spread out all over.
It's like, oh no, other planets exist.
Yeah.
And you are the ambassador of this delegation. As he says that, you'll notice that his eyes kind of dart over to Magnum for a second before going back to you.
How you doing?
Is he currently in trench coat mode or is he in building mode?
He's in trench coat mode. It's pink trench coat mode.
Is his trench coat open? That would explain the odd gazes.
Hey, I trousers on.
So you are the leader of this delegation?
Diplomatic leader, I would suppose you would say. In terms of security, I default to my good friend Carapace here, and pat him on the forearm.
He'll look up at you.
You have to reach up.
Yeah.
He will look up at you.
Yeah, I'm trying to be intimidating, but not in like an aggressive way. Just like projecting strength, but not. So I don't know if you want me to roll something.
Flexing only half of its arms.
Yeah.
He looks up at you, but it kind of in that like almost like military-esque kind of way where he just like raises his eyes to look up at you. He doesn't like crane his head to look up.
Right, yeah.
Like, I see you up there.
I was going to actually ask, like, based upon, like, just because of, like, military stuff, these people are, like, armed and effectively armored. Can I tell how well? Like, do I recognize anything? You're like, oh, they're all using cold-based weapons, or they've got spikes everywhere that is atypical or something.
Go ahead and roll up a profession soldier as soon as you get the chance. So while you're doing that, the general will gesture to the two bots that are behind him. These are my aides, Iron Lift and Glide. They'll gesture to the right and the left. It's pretty obvious that Glide has an aerial alt mode, but you're not quite certain on Iron Lift yet, unless you want to make a roll for that.
I'll do a life science on deadlift there.
Iron Lift. It didn't even last 3 seconds.
That's my brain. I mean,
My profession, unfortunately, wasn't that good. It's 22.
Okay.
My passive intimidation is a 36.
Ooh, that's even better.
31 for life science.
I'm going to try that as well.
Okay.
23.
Carapace, you're trying to kind of size them up, and you're trying to figure like what kind of weapons they have, what kind of armor they have, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, so you can see that the three in front of you, so Libra, Iron Lift, and Glide, don't have any significant armor on. They're just kind of themselves, whereas the 8 soldiers behind them are well armored.
Okay.
To put it in game terms, it'd probably be comparable to your level armor, like a level 10 armor or so. So, you know, reasonably well armored, but not, you know, not like ridiculously out there, like power armor, not like giant like mech suits or anything like that.
Right. So like just to kind of put things like through the perspective of me is that I have the highest possible armor class that someone of my level can have. Like, you know, based on those sort of things. So like because like the whole level 10 thing, like I have a 15, but I also have like a feat that increases my armor. So like I'm assuming these guys are less armored than me, but say, you know, better armored than say Magnum and Sweet Spot.
What's your AC again?
33.
They are certainly less armored than you. You perceive it correctly. Less armored than you,
Okay.
but better than Magnum and or better than Spindrift, certainly. So I think
Okay.
Spindrift is going to be the weakest armored among you, if I'm correct in that, Mike.
It's probably me.
25.
26, actually. What do you
All
know?
right. So about
We're
the same.
about the same.
But that's only because I took that soldier level, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah, so you think they are kind of between you guys right now, which makes perfect sense because, you know, it's a soldier battalion out to keep a general safe in a completely unknown situation.
Oh, sure.
Now, as for Magnum and Spindrift, you did life science, and yeah, both of you gonna get the idea that it's likely a piece of construction equipment of some kind, heavily armored, and yeah, a ground vehicle certainly, but it does look
Okay.
mobile and it does look heavily armored.
Okay.
Whereas Glide definitely has an aerial-based alt mode, likely something. Maybe not fast, like it doesn't feel like an interceptor kind of like a jet, but more like a heavier jet, maybe like a transport jet of some kind.
Okay.
All right.
Question. What is the atmosphere like? Is this place like rich in energon? Like, do we feel different, or is it like energon dead? Like, does it feel like there's like oh, there's really nothing here? Like, 'cause, like I'm guessing it's not. There's like no nature.
Correct.
So like I'm not gonna feel any of that. But I mean, like, you know, like maybe the reason they chose this plan is because you were like, oh yeah, like 10% of the, you know, the atmosphere is opium. And you're like, oh yeah, like it just feels good to be here. You know.
10%. That's kind of light, don't you think?
All right. Well, I'll say that the four of you don't feel anything unusual. But Magnum, if you want to do a perception check for your sensor bank or for your sensors, you're welcome to give it a shot.
Sure, why not? All right. 39 perception.
This place is energon rich. You can, like, as you're scanning around, you can tell that even, like, just in the ground underneath you, there are active energon lines, and you can kind of you can sense the energon flowing even through the buildings, through the ground. It is energon rich, but at least atmospheric wise, doesn't feel much different than Cybertron does. There is an atmosphere. It is a little on the thinner side, You think that a human would have a difficulty breathing in this atmosphere. It does not read as toxic or anything. It just kind of reads as generally neutral. And the temperature though is fairly high. Like you don't think a human would be very comfortable here. You're looking at temperatures probably like for us in like the 150 degree range.
Okay.
Which is why I think
do they use Fahrenheit or Celsius here?
Fahrenheit for us, like probably like 200 on Celsius, give or take. I don't know the conversion of Fahrenheit.
Cycles.
Everything measured in cycles.
It's about 450 cycles, you know.
Is that hot? Am I dressed appropriately?
Which kind of makes sense too, because you know it's a lot of metal, a lot of metal on here, and the energon is also contributing to the heat of the planet as well.
Is there a lot of radiation?
How close is the star?
About equivalent to, well, I'd actually say probably closer, because I imagine that they're using like solar arrays for energy generation and everything as well. So yeah, we'll say a bit closer to the star than Earth or Cybertron.
I was wondering what the radiation was like if there's lower atmosphere, because we'll be getting more radiation from the.
Yeah, you certainly are. Not enough to affect you in any way, but again, all signs really point to this being a toxic atmosphere for like biological life.
Alrighty.
All right. Anything in particular you want to say or you want to do? You got a general in front of you, his two aides, and a battalion behind them.
Of course, we'd like to see what you have to offer culturally to expand knowledge throughout the universe of your culture, and of course, we are willing to share some details of our own culture to help facilitate an awakening in your neck of the woods, so to speak. Do you guys have woods here?
Isn't this the part where we tend to like go inside of a structure and sit down? Right? Am I remembering that correctly? Sweet
yes, Carapace, you are very correct, sir. And if you're short of structures, we have brought one with us.
Before we open negotiations with the leadership of the Harmonium, I would like to speak with you and get a sense of who you are and where you come from before we introduce you to the political representatives of the planet.
Of course.
So if you four would follow me.
And yeah, he will lead you into the building that's closest to you, right off of the landing bay. Follow him, no problems.
Yep.
He leads you down a couple of corridors into a what looks kind of like a conference room that has a kind of a nice vista over the city. You actually go up a couple of flights of stairs, so it is raised up a little bit over you, and you can kind of see I say like the city, but don't forget this is an entire planet that is, again, the Coruscant analogy really, keep that in mind. It is a vast built metropolis. And you can kind of see out over the area. And just a bit of a reminder from last time, the space traffic, like ship traffic, has been diverted away from the base here. So while you are seeing ships in the sky, they are keeping their distance around. You can kind of see a bubble where there are no vessels of any kind.
While we're walking, I will attempt to take note of his pace as he's leading us along. Is it direct? Is it fast? Is it purposeful and measured? How fast are these people?
Well, certainly slower than you would be, Sweet Spot. Comparable to a Cybertronian, and I imagine you've also had some experience, talking with military officers, and it kind of feels the same, where they are, it's direct and to the point where, he's not wasting time like showing you stuff to the side. He's not saying, oh, and here's our communications room, and here is the mess hall. No, he is going straight down and just expecting you to follow and to keep up. You have no problem keeping up at all.
Yeah.
I imagine Carapace, Magnum, Spindrift, I imagine you have no real issues. But you think that Pythagoras, if he was out, he'd probably have some trouble.
I'm sure Carapace will be noting any security details along the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
There are some guards posted at various doorways that you're going to pass. You'll notice that all of the bots that you've seen so far have a red badge on them with various marks on the bottom. And I think after you see a couple of them, you can kind of put two and two together that this is like a badge of office of some kind, and the marks on the bottom are likely indicators of rank of some kind. And as you saw that, it is present on the general there. And his is different. It doesn't have just kind of like vertical marks, but he has a couple like horizontal marks in there as well. So that likely indicates a higher rank than all the common soldiers down here.
General Ibra, could you possibly explain to us the symbolism of your ranks so that we can address people appropriately when we meet them?
Yes, absolutely. You'll notice that I have a red badge. The red badge indicates military or security services. If you note someone with a blue badge, they are with the science department, or sciences.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How about the yellow badges?
There is a gold badge for the religious caste. The green badge is for the environmental, and white is for medics.
That was a very appropriate question there, Carapace, and I thank you for clarifying all of that, General.
So would you say he's wearing a red badge of courage? Sounds like it.
Literally.
Totally is. You'll get into the conference room. He will sit down at the head on one side and gesture for, and his two aides will sit next to him. The soldiers that followed will take up positions on the outside the door, and two on the inside the door. And you can sit wherever you like. There is a head to the other side of the table if one of you wants to take it and do that power move. Otherwise, sit where you like.
We can escort Sweet Spot to the opposite side thing.
And I'll remain standing behind him.
I'll sit next to him as
I'll sit on the other side.
Advisor.
Nice.
Before we begin, Ambassador, I must clear something up.
And as he's saying this, he kind of like his eyes dart over to you, Magnum.
Are you Magnum's translator or servant?
Am I Magnum's translator or servant? I don't suppose I serve any one particular bot, but I serve the people of Cybertron and Velocitron equally. As far as translation goes, that is another matter entirely at times.
So something about Magnum is important to their culture, possibly being the headmaster. Like maybe that's like what royalty is like here, or the pink coat. You know?
It's a really big rich badge.
If you want to make a sense motive, you can go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
if you want to get something else out of it.
I did, as far as I can tell, these guys, when I did the life science on Ironlift there, he wasn't a headmaster, right?
That is correct.
I see nothing. Carapace didn't even notice that distinction.
But Patrick did.
Yeah.
Spindrift did a 42.
God.
Oh, my goodness.
Son of a bitch. All right.
That would be a 21 for a Sweet Spot to notice whatever it is that y'all seeing.
And Magnum got a 29.
So a 40, a 29, and a 21. Sweet Spot, I'm actually going to say you don't notice this.
All right.
It's just a little surprising.
It seemed like a low roll to me, so.
But Magnum and Spindrift, both of you notice it, and I'm sure, Magnum, you'll want to at least address it at some point. The General is... It seems he's deferring to you, Magnum, as the leader of this party. Now, you're not quite certain why, just yet. Like Pat said, maybe the headmaster thing. Maybe it's the pink coat thing. Maybe it's the volume of your voice. Who knows? But something about you seems to indicate to the General that you are the one who's supposed to be in charge. And it's a bit surprising that you're not.
Can they smell like the traces of the artifact that he stole, that he spent so much time around? Because wasn't that planet like where their progenitor was from, or something along those lines?
Oh, that crystal that you stole. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The crystal wasn't so much like an artifact. It was the data core for a transformer.
Right. That was Scarvix, right?
Scarvix, yeah.
Maybe it's cigarette smoke. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's because
smell it on you.
Very well. I will address my questions to you, Ambassador Sweet Spot.
If I may ask, General, what led you to believe that Magnum would be my master?
Well, forgive my insensitivity in this matter, but you are a headmaster, are you not?
Yes, sir. You got it.
The headmasters are not the ruling caste from where you're from?
I see. It is. No, where we're from, we're sort of special, but we don't have a particular class system that's split up for headmasters, non-headmasters.
Intriguing.
Yes.
Is that the case for your culture here, General? Are your leaders all headmasters?
Not quite, but it is getting closer to the truth. We'll be discussing that in just a moment, but I had believed, admittedly falsely, that the headmasters were the ones at the head of state for your civilization, and that is something that I will have to keep in mind.
Of course. Forgive me for pressing ahead on that issue, because I am often in a rush to get to the end.
All right. So with that out of the way, what brings you to our system from so far away? We have not heard of Velocitron in our history, and Cybertron is from our the earliest times in our colony, in our civilization.
True, the information that we have on your culture is, to be quite honest, a bit dated. And our own curiosity as to how y'all are doing way out here was peaking. And since we have achieved a relative peace within the worlds that we occupy, we thought it might be a good chance to see y'all, how y'all are doing, and offer peace with you as well.
How far away is Cybertron or Velocitron?
That depends on how you measure distances. Do you measure by pure distance, or do you measure by time traveled? And if it's time traveled, how fast is your usual rate of travel?
I think you would have, as you were going through the transmissions before you guys landed, I'm willing to bet you would have got at least just from the language alone, you would have gotten a good indication of what the distance is. I don't have a separate system, ready for you guys on that, but
no, that's fine.
Yeah. So I think you can determine what what distances would be.
Yeah,
I can give you statistics if you want, Ambassador.
Yes. Why don't you handle that question for me, please?
Or it's about 200 decimillion cycles. Or to put it another way, 5 cycles. Or put it another way, 2.5 cycles. Make sense?
I think what'll happen is Ironlift will get up and come over to you, and he'll have a data pad, and the two of you can compare, what distances of measurements are going to be. And
He's trying to be honest using Smurf terminology.
How far away is Fivisor exactly?
Oh, we're bringing Fivisor into this? Oh, wait a damn Fivisor.
We gotta go there next.
Ambassador, how did you arrive here in the system? Because we tracked your flight path to one of the garbage chutes that we use for asteroid removal. We have not tracked your flight path out of the system, though, and we know that there are no habitable systems directly around us. Not unless you count that those Cutalex people.
I am afraid that would require me to divulge some information about our technology, which, of course, we are willing to share in time. We do have to be sure that your intentions are purely peaceful before we do so. But we are willing to do so in time.
Yes.
Very well.
Unfortunately, we're just not authorized. That's all. We're definitely not trying to withhold it. We're just not allowed to discuss it at the moment.
Being from the military, I'm sure you understand the need to compartmentalize things.
We do. How about this then? What can you tell me about Cybertron?
All right. Go ahead.
Well, I think I will defer to our local Cybertronian, Spindrift, partially so anyway.
I'm not from Cybertron.
Part of you is.
Maybe once.
you see Glide taking notes down on his data pad.
Rick, you look bad.
And also too, both of them, Ironlift and Glide, as the two of you are talking, are taking copious notes. You would imagine that probably one of them is actually transcribing the entire conversation, just making certain that everything that was said, and then the other one is probably making notes as to things to check up on or things to note later on.
All the better to catch you in a lie later.
Right.
Indeed.
You seem to understand how our civilization works.
You realize what Mike is trying to do? He's trying to get us to listen to our own podcast regularly. What did I say to them?
You're just breeding a better life.
So yeah, what do you want to tell them about Cybertron?
I can give him some rundown. Yes, he'll give Magnum will give them sort of a high level description of sort of almost like the kind of thing you would see in a commercial if you were going to go visit Cybertron.
Like a
So we have
commercial?
this. This is the city of Iacon, and show some some sort of redacted pictures of the city from high up, and this is sort of the governmental structure, and this is central reclamation.
That is fascinating. Your rulers are chosen by an election? Did I pronounce that word correctly?
Yes, indeed.
You did. It seems like it's a foreign word to you.
We don't have this concept in the Harmonium.
Do you not?
Interesting. Oh, what do you guys use instead? It's
Tyranny, clearly.
The leadership is a caste structure. So the Powermasters are the ones in charge, whereas all of the other bots on the planet are subservient to them through the different castes, whereas the Micromasters are the workers, I'm trying to think of an appropriate word for it, the labor for
the slaves with jobs. The prisoners with jobs. Pardon me.
DWJ.
So you have a bit of a caste system amongst the people.
Very, very interesting. It is
A layered society.
sounds very organized and efficient, I imagine.
Velocitron had done that for some time, where the whole culture seems to be revolved around speed and the use of speed in land races. In fact, that's how I came to be one of the leading ambassadors for Velocitron, is through races that are actual races and not electoral races. And of course, the slower bots have in the past been looked down upon for their lack of the ability to be speedy. But I have been working very hard to change that so that there is an equitable solution and equitable rights for all bots on Velocitron.
That is fascinating. So you're saying that the airspeed or land speed of a bot determines their social standing.
That is how it was in the past. We have found that bots that cannot go fast have other useful qualities that are of great value to the rest of the communities that they are part of. So we have more or less done away with the system that we've had in the past, and every bot is now looked upon for their own value and what they can provide to the community. I'd be happy to share a write-up on the social and economic uses of both systems, both before the equalization of speed and after.
And he looks to you, Carapace, and to you, Spindrift.
Is this true for you as well? Are the two of you from Velocitron or Cybertron?
No, I'm from another planet called Eucharis. We're mostly,
Both from Eucharis.
I think you would call them beast formers, maybe. And it's largely, what was the word? It's more savage. It's less cities. It's untamed nature. The strong survive there. So, Velocitron...
Plants, trees.
Yeah, Velocitron focuses on speed. We focus on strength. And strength is a broad term. We are survivors. So, it's just like... Sometimes intelligence is what makes you... what means you're the difference between survival. Sometimes durability. Sometimes strength. Sometimes how popular you are. I respect strength and adaptability.
Your form seems to indicate that, just as Ambassador Sweetspot's form seems to indicate the type of government that he lives under.
Well, thank you very much.
We would be very interested to hear more about your structure, though, because no doubt you have a lot of very interesting features that makes you such a strong civilization.
Before we can move on with anything further, I'm sure the General would like to ascertain our trustworthiness and our core intentions here. Is that not right?
That is correct.
All right. Then any further questions, you may proceed, General.
So I'm not going to go through, like question by question thing for it, because as you can imagine, you can kind of imagine the things that are going to get asked. Like the General wants to know.
2 weeks later, yeah,
which is the blink of an eye for a Transformer.
Yeah, the General wants to he tries to get as much information from you guys as possible. He does ask about military strength, military forces and stuff like that, to which I'm sure you deflect. You guys will ask him kind of the same questions, and I'm sure he deflects it just as well. Yeah. But by the end of it, though, you do have an understanding of the culture of the Harmonium. So kind of to his point, there is a caste structure, and a group called the Powermasters are the ones that are in charge. They are in charge by divine right, by divine mandate. Micronus is the one who says, these are the people who rule. By that extension, headmasters and target masters are viewed as very important in their society, kind of like an upper class, like an upper echelon kind of caste. There's not a separate headmaster or target master like caste for them. Like there's not a strata like that, but generally headmasters and target masters will usually rise to the ranks of leadership in whatever position that they're in. And again, it's kind of like that divine mandate of like the smaller bots who partner with the larger bots. They're like, that is the thing that elevates them to that level. The bots that have no partners to them, just have a typical bot like a Carapace or a Sweet Spot, they're treated well. You know, absolutely nothing wrong. They're not slaves, anything like that. But there's only so far they can raise. Think of it almost like if you're thinking the military, there's the officer class and then the enlisted class. Mm-hmm. And enlisted can go, pretty far, but they're never going to become, the leadership of the army. It's just not going to happen. And down at the bottom are the Micromasters, the unpartnered Micromasters, who, in many respects, are treated as objects, as just kind of like tools. And the more you speak with them, the more you kind of realize that a larger bot, again, someone like a Sweet Spot or a Carapace or a Spindrift, who is able to take on the role of a Power Master, a Headmaster, or a Target Master, elevates their standing in society. And it is literally the only way you can go from one caste or one strata to the next. And all of this is a divine mandate from Micronus. So it's a very, very heavy theocracy, and a very
is Micronus
stratified.
Still in charge? Like, does Micronus still exist?
No, Micronus had disappeared millions of years ago.
But was it him coming here? Was that where he disappeared to?
The general either doesn't know or doesn't want to tell you.
Okay.
He kind of deflects the question.
So can Micromasters and like, for example, Carapace and Magnum were once separate bots. So can Micromasters become like a component, like a Power Master or
I'm sorry, Carapace and...
Did I say Carapace?
You did.
Carapace and were once a separate bot, and it's still true.
I was curious about that.
Agris and Magnum were once separate, so and they
mm-hmm.
And they turned into a headmaster. Can these Micronauts achieve, as you're saying, that's how social mobility works? They become a component to something bigger?
Yes,
or is that...
and that's the only way social mobility works here in the Harmonium.
So you have the tools themselves are the lowest caste, but if they're combined with just like a normal schmuck, they become better than everybody?
Oddly enough.
Okay, that's... I guess as far as dumb systems that you could base a culture on, that works.
It's strangely balanced.
No different than a culture based on speed, right?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, totally. But I guess I just don't understand, why don't all of the schmucks just pick up tools and then now everybody's a fucking...
There's probably a population size difference,
And you would also think there's a limited number of Micromasters in the just in the world, and it seems like there's far more of the bigger ones than the Micromasters.
Oh, there's more bigger ones because usually the labor force is the biggest.
Yeah, that's why I was like curious. I'm like, wouldn't literally every single one try to be partnered up? Like, why wouldn't everybody be doing that?
It's probably difficult to do. It's probably
want to.
There's probably like barriers to that.
It is a caste system after all, so
they need permission
the
from the existing cast in order to do it.
yeah, the people at the top, they're keeping control of this.
Okay.
A nice tight rein.
Well, I'm glad I don't have to live here.
Is there anything specific, or is there anything else specific that you want to ask about, or just make certain that you know about in this whole conversation? And we can say it too, like this conversation takes place over the course of hours, and people will come in with energon for you guys to consume. And
I was actually going to ask that. Does it have like a different like flavor?
Yeah.
Like, is it like interesting?
Totally does.
Is
we
it
have to
poison?
sterilize it? I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
was
it's
just
like,
gonna say,
it's like
is it-
drinking the water in a foreign country. Excuse me, I have to deposit some oil.
Do you want to do a quick life science check there?
Sure. 29 seems to be my favorite number tonight.
Yeah.
Hey.
It seems perfectly good energon. Nothing seems to be wrong with it or anything like that.
But it does it taste different? Like, is it like pure? Like, is it kind of like having glacial water that you're like, ooh, like there's a bouquet.
crisp.
Yeah, there's a bouquet to it.
Marshall. Militarily.
It does taste different. Like, I wouldn't say it tastes better by any stretch,
Right.
but it is different. It's kind of
Tastes
like
more like Cybertron than Eucharis, though.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I think a good analogy would be like the difference between converting like plant matter to energon, like from on Eucharis, versus having something that is converted from like solar energy on Cybertron or like Velocitron. But you can determine that it is not poisonous.
Why? Because I didn't drop dead when I tried it.
Yep.
I'm just going to try to monitor their sort of social interactions to sort of get an idea of, what's the right way to address someone if you want a certain reaction, if you're being super respectful or if you're not being respectful or if I was a headmaster and wanted to use my upper class ability, So just keep an eye out and also listen to the radio stations and stuff like that while I'm doing that as well. And try to sort of get, I'm trying to get sort of a social advantage.
Gotcha.
But
I'm assuming all of you are kind of doing this in your own way too. If anyone wants to, go ahead and make me a culture check, and I'll give you a couple of little things you can use.
all right.
That is a 27 for Carapace.
Wow.
Okay.
19 for Spindrift.
19 for the drift. All right.
Sweet spot, get a 12.
12. All right.
And Magnum got a 42.
Oof, man.
Now
All
I know
right.
everything.
You have the answer. All right, sweet spot. I'm actually gonna say, because you were talking back and forth with him, I think you were probably a bit distracted from like the social interactions of like his aides on the side and like his soldiers in the back there. So you were pretty much like focusing your attention on this guy, trying to get as much as possible from him. But he's a fucking military general here and a priest. And he's schooling his reactions, like serious, straight face. You're watching, you're trying to get everything from him, but he's buttoned up.
He's poker facing me.
Mm-hmm. But the rest of you, though, yeah, you keep an eye on his aides and keep an eye on the other soldiers, and just kind of like putting two and two together between like the reactions that like they have when you're having the conversation, the reactions to the things that you're saying and everything. And yeah, so a couple things that you'll note. Magnum, you think you will have, based on cultural things, you will have an easier time talking with people because you are a headmaster. But the lack of a badge is going to make things a little bit tricky for you, and that's true for all of you as well. Not having like a badge, and it's going to make things. It's going to make you look like you're not part of the caste system, which can go one of two ways. You can go, you're either the lowest rung or the highest rung. It all depends.
That makes, if they're used to everyone being casted, then like it's sort of just going to give them sort of a short circuit in their brains, like that we don't know how to handle this.
Right.
I mean, maybe we should get badges. We don't need stinking badges. We got to the same place.
Do we see like any type of like animosity between them, or like intimacy, even like between the aides and the general?
No.
Like sometimes like if a general says something, like you'll see an aide kind of do like that quick glance to the left, and you're like, oh, okay. Like there's
No, not between those guys. You will see those glances happening on occasion between the guards whenever you say something that is antithetical to their society. Like when you start talking about like elections, like they start kind of looking, like one of them looks at each other like, these guys for real? Elections?
Do we all notice that?
Well, Sweet Spot, you do not, sadly.
All right.
And I'll say it the rest of you though. Yeah, you do. All right. But again, like this, so this conversation kind of like, continues on. It goes on for a few hours. You'll take breaks at times, like the general and his two aides will leave. You're welcome to kind of wander around, but you're told not to leave the room just yet.
Right.
You don't get the prisoner vibe, but you are effectively foreign nationals on a military base. So
right.
But after a few hours and a lot of back and forth between all of you, the general will come back and he'll tell you, and he'll say,
Ambassador, this has been a very good meeting. The leadership of the Harmonium does wish to speak with you. We are in the middle of arranging when that can happen. But in the meantime, you are to be given a place to stay within the city. And we can show you around some of our less military areas. So if the if the five of you would like to come with me, we can do a quick tour of the base, and then we can head on out to the larger parts of the city.
That sounds good.
Alrighty then. That seems like it would be a very doable thing. And I'll even curb my curiosity as to keep pace with the tour.
Nice. Yeah. So and I'm not going to go through Rick each and everything on here, but the general and his aides will gonna bring you around to the base. They're not going to bring you into any highly sensitive areas or anything like that. They're not going to bring you into their armories or anything like that, as much as Carapace wants to be there. But they will, they'll take you through some of their, they'll take you through the barracks, they'll take you through some their training areas. They'll pass by a firing range. And I want all of you to make a sense motive.
Mm-hmm.
6.
Yeah.
And now I get a 30. Sweet Spot gets a 30.
Actually, Pat, because this is a base, I'm gonna say you can make a profession soldier check if you'd like in place of this.
I would like that. Yes, a 19 on the die is much better. So that is a 33.
29 for Spindrift.
43 for Magnum.
40. Damn. Whew. I'm going to have to figure out what the highest you guys have ever rolled. Because I think each day, you're hitting that one or two more than your records. It's pretty good. Anyway. Okay, so all of you can actually tell what's going on here. This is effectively not only is it just a tour, but it's a little bit more of a show of force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was getting that.
Yeah, taking you through areas that will show off their military might. Not any sensitive areas or anything, but firing range, the amount of troops that they have. You'll go through one of the landing bays on the side, and you'll see rows of fighters, parked there.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pull a RoboCop move and like walk up to the firing range and kind of like, you know, like you see like they're shooting like their little guns and I'm like,
you know what? Sure, let's do it. Go ahead and you're gonna walk up to like an empty stall. Give me a quick...
with permission.
Yeah, like I'll be like I'll give the general a look like the eyebrow raise like the.
Be my guest, Carapace. Let's see what
the first smile that you've seen. Yeah, the first smile that you've seen on me so far.
What weapon are you taking out?
Yeah, because actually, Adam, what weapon am I taking out?
Red Star Conqueror.
Damn right I am. Because I'm in my blaster mode. So that is a 35 to hit.
Yeah, you. Let me ask you, what do you want to do? Do you want to do a pinpoint shot or just blast the entire target away?
Let's see how much damage I actually do. I think that'll kind of dictate what it is. Okay, so 33 plus 11, so 44 feels kind of like it hits dead center, but like the whole thing probably goes.
The entire firing range falls quiet for a moment as everyone like looks at the giant blast that you hit. No reaction from the general, but you do see that all of the people over there, all the bots over there, they're kind of like, wow, damn, all right.
I'll smile at one of the guards and just give him a nod like, huh?
Yeah.
The question, just as from the cultural judgment, as a military organization, what do you think is what do I think is they respect most? Because it's a variety. Like, is it strength? Obviously they're all important, but strength or order, or obeying all commands, loyalty to leadership. I mean, if you stack those on top of each other, which one would you think? Because it seems organized, so it's probably not just the strongest on top.
You would think that because it's a theocracy, following the command structure, the organization is more important, and the other ones are not insignificant. But you think that would edge it out on top there.
Yeah, and I know that they're all important for a military, but it can definitely change the flavor of I'm the toughest, but maybe that's not as important, quite as important as someone who's in the right place, cast wise or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is standing out? Is that look like a bad thing here? Like, are they cogs in a larger machine, or do they have
is there any individuality?
Yeah. Does talent and skill, is that valued here?
Yeah, so you would think that yes, it is valued. But to your point there about cogs in a machine, there's a lot less individuality than there is on Cybertron. So while there are some, while there is still room for self-expression, conformity is valued more than that.
Everyone gets to pick their favorite version of beige.
Right.
Heady top. Oh.
Okay. So you can continue, taking the tour and they're showing around and everything.
I'll try to go ooh and ah at the appropriate times.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yep.
We want to be complimentary.
Yep. Now, I did a couple of rolls, a couple of secret perception checks for you as before we started. So a couple of you noticed some things as you're going through this thing.
Oh my goodness,
a thing. Spindrift.
Mm-hmm.
As you are passing by one of the it seems to be either a conference room or kind of like a communications room of some kind, you hear kind of under in very low tones, someone says,
"Mission is go."
Okay.
Sweet Spot.
Yes. As
you are walking by, you can you're probably walking by a little bit quicker, and that you get to to near one of these doorways before before some of the soldiers close it. And you just take a quick glance through the door as you walk by, and you notice that there's a row of armored suits with room for tiny little bots in them. So like a Pythagoras-sized bot.
Oh, we gotta get one. Yeah.
Okay.
And Magnum, as the tour is kind of coming to a close, you're about to exit into like one of like the landing bay areas, and you pass through what effectively is like the command and control like room for the spaceport. And you barely notice this, but on one of the screens, there's a small alarm showing a perimeter breach.
Uh-oh.
There is a bot sitting at that station, though.
Are they paying attention to it?
You think they see?
Okay. All right. I just had a sudden sneaking suspicion here. We'll see if my sneaking suspicion is right.
The little mechs that I saw. Do I believe that they are more powerful or less powerful than the military might they have been purposely showing us?
You would think that they are stronger.
Okay, so they're holding back on what they're showing us. That's pretty wise.
So, what do you think of our port here, of our base? Is it comparable to something on Cybertron or Velocitron or Micronus?
Well, Velocitron has been peaceful for a lot longer than Cybertron has, and we haven't had much need for fighting, as our whole existence is dependent upon us outrunning the sun and staying alive. So all of our efforts have been transcribed there. We don't have a lot of military might on Velocitron, per se.
Interesting.
But we are by no means defenseless. We can really pull together when we need to.
You're dribbling a little bit, General. I'm not going to say.
Interesting.
But your military might seems very adequate. Do you have many enemies, General? Is there a need for this much force?
Any enemies that the Harmonium have been destroyed in long past. All the systems around us are free of any threats to us.
Then why hold such a large military force?
On the off chance that a foreign power comes in and wants to conquer us.
And he kind of gives a pointed look at our sweet spot there.
That is a very prominent stance, sir.
It's very extraordinary, very extraordinary.
These are the forces you hope you do not have to use, am I right?
Absolutely. It is better to have a gun and not need it than need it and not have it.
I could not agree more. Well, there was
really
a time when I wouldn't agree at all.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. So.
Lieutenant Ironlift, why don't you escort the ambassador and his companions to the transport and escort him to their spot in the city?
Not to seem kind of bougie, but I am hoping there's a decent view.
From what I understand, you have been assigned living quarters in one of the diplomatic towers. So you will have a good view of the capital.
I do enjoy a good view in the morning.
Are we in the capital?
Not at the moment. No, you're outside of in fact, you are actually probably a good, a few hundred miles away. Because don't forget, the entire planet is industrialized and is a city.
Right.
So what they're talking about for the capital is like the capital district of the city.
Right. Does the planet like rotate? Like, do we know how long their day is? Like, how long their year is?
Yeah, it's comparable to Cybertron. Nothing really like out of the ordinary there. Comparable to Cybertron, to Eucharis.
It's not like Venus, whose day is longer than its year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a cycle. Their day is one cycle.
Right.
Their year is one rotational cycle.
So is he like saying goodbye to us for now?
Yeah. He's gonna have his lieutenant escort you to a transport to get you into the city.
Okay. Well, it was fantastic meeting you, your generalship. You are obviously an incredible credit to your entire organization.
You are indeed a commanding presence. There is no doubt about that.
And Iron Lift will escort you out of the building onto the landing pad. You can see a transport ship kind of off onto the edge of the pad there. Go ahead and make me a quick perception check, everyone.
All right.
4 becomes 18.
26 for Spindrift.
And Sweet Spot got a 27.
Okay.
26.
Would you roll a 1?
Yeah, actually.
Mid-20s. That's pretty awful for you. All of you notice this.
Okay.
To the north, low to the horizon, there is a ship, a transport approaching very fast and very low. It looks like it is going to crash right into the spaceport, right at you. And we'll see you next time.
Oh, no.
That's what the security breach is. So something else actually got in.
From the secret files of Teletran 1, Empire of Rust is written in GM by Michael Ordway. Detective Magnum and his partner Pythagoras are played by Matthew G. Ambassador Sweetspot, Councilman of Velocitron, is played by Adam H.U. The Decepticon Target Master, Wildstrike, and his partner Nico are played by Mike M. And Carapace, the Beast Warrior of Primitive Eucharis, is played by Patrick Finn. Additional characters are played by Michael Ordway, Brandon Ouellette, and Charlotte Chapman. Outro narration by Derek Bixby. Empire of Rust is supported by the humans and networks of planet Earth, whose online networks provide access to libraries of sound effects and music such as Storyblocks, Zasplat, Blue Zone, Pixabay, Paper Yellow Music, and Dark Fantasy Studios. We are distributed by the Transmissions Podcast Network. Stay up to date with all the latest news and reviews in the world of the Transformers by going to transmissionspodcast.com or searching the Transmissions wherever you get podcasts. You can communicate with the heroes of Cybertron by joining us on the Transmissions Discord channel. There you can discuss episodes, talk to the cast, and download the rule set used in Empire of Rust. Teletran 1, signing off.